Ooh, I dread this. I did say I didn't want this channel to become a blog channel, but I worry if I don't post something you'll think I'm dead. Or gave up, same difference online. And I really don't know what else to make a video about, so here goes. I am not a furry! You need far more community engagement than I give to call yourself that. So yeah, let's talk about that completely out of nowhere CG bust I made for a background in my latest video and how the hell I dare defend myself post outing myself and what the hell this implies for my YouTube presence. When I say I'm not a furry, what I mean is it doesn't just mean the one thing. It doesn't just mean thinking half animal characters are neat, which I do. I think they're amazing, a merger of human and inhuman that allows one to explore identity, morality and personality in a fantastical, imaginative way that I wish more fiction would take advantage of. Plus, I just think they look fucking cool, but that's not what furry is. It's what it could be, it's what I'd like it to be, but it's not what it is. No, furry is a fandom. It's a community. And it's a community that I'm not a part of. There is very little sense of purpose about the furry fandom. There is no manifesto or underlying motives to guide the way their art is formed or make it clear what it's all about. It's a trope, and the community is all about appreciating it, which is fine, it's how I've made most of my friends. But artistically it's also very shallow. Most of the fandom is only concerned about personal fantasy and roleplay, and don't seem interested in creating anything more profound than that. Basically it's a gaggle of LARPers without a token to define them. There is no major author or artist to influence or contribute to their identity. In one way that's freeing, it lets them appreciate their interests in whatever way they see fit. They can pick and pluck from whatever sources they like and include it in their fiction. It's one of the most versatile and open-minded communities online. But with no respectable writer to back it all up, it's fucking embarrassing to admit being into it. Or maybe that's just me. Recently it occurred to me I am very self-deprecating. Not just for humorous purposes. Whenever someone asks me about anything I'm into, the first thing I do is not explain why I like it, but why they wouldn't. It's the best way to defend yourself, admitting you're embarrassed by the thing you like. It's also the quickest way to reveal yourself an insecure prick, and drive a solid wedge between yourself and whoever might have been trying to reach out to you. Probably just me. Furries engage in a lot of very unorthodox fantasies. Fantasies that hint on deep-rooted psychological issues that either can't or hasn't been addressed. Things where the overlap between drama, sex and horror is so vast the Venn diagram has turned into a solid circle. Exactly, none of these things embarrass me. Hating on furries because they're kinky weirdos is the same as being afraid of horror fans because they like movies with blood and gore. You just reveal yourself to be an idiot. Obligatory disclaimer, I am familiar with Kero the Wolf, Sonichu, and that guy who whipped it out when watching Zootopia in a theater crowded with kids. But these fuckers would have been fuckers with or without the fandom, same as anyone who blames horror movies for the bullshit they get up to. No, the only embarrassment I've ever felt is from how lowbrow it has remained to this day. It's very difficult to openly discuss a non-genre which revolves mostly around hairy genitals and what could be done with them, and still be taken seriously. In horror you have plenty of examples to defend the artistic validity of the genre. A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Cabin in the Woods, Psycho, Misery, Splice, or even my personal favorite, Poltergeist. Erotica isn't as respected as horror, but it's still got plenty of serious fiction to back it up. Stjepan Sejic, resident cleaner-upper of BDSM fiction, may be coming to the rescue with his latest project, Fine Print. Among other ridiculous, hilarious and harrowing romps to make up the narrative, it features a succubus who pursues the widowed Egyptian god of death Anubis. But even so, that'll just be another small part in a greater whole furries may love, but not a full work of fiction its own. But I hear you say, well then, Mr. Fancy Pants, why don't you get to it? Come on, you clearly know what to do, so come on, get on. And therein the biggest source of my insecurity. I've been trying for 10 years. Never become an artist if you're also a critic, and vice versa. Either mentality will poison the other. I was unsatisfied with the works of the fandom years before I decided to become an artist and make my mark. Certain I could make something good if only I had the tools. And immediately running into the reality that no, I fucking couldn't. I persevered, forced myself through the insecurity, personal humiliation and shame of trying to learn technique so I could make something with substance and depth and all the other nonsense I thought I could pull off. And where some artists manage to overcome the self-doubt and the unrealistic standards they set for themselves, I wasn't one of them. There is nothing more demotivating than having it demonstrated by your own hand that no matter your skill, your work is vapid and meaningless. Especially when it's all you've got going for you. I put so much of my self-worth into my work, and not being able to materialize anything I considered worth something felt a lot like I wasn't worth anything. Most of my life has been spent dulling myself from reality. I would come home and the first thing I'd do is drown any thought I had in shows, books, movies and games. Then one day in my late teens I had a minor breakdown where I realized I was gonna be doing the same thing for the rest of my life and remain as miserable as ever if I didn't do something. Quickly. Making art to me was not about having fun or escaping reality, it was about changing myself around and doing something more with my life than just hanging around waiting to die. And now, almost 10 years later, nothing has changed. I'm not as miserable as I used to be, and I've got more friends than I used to, but none of my creative pursuits have amounted to anything, and I'm still not happy with myself or my life. I started reviewing found footage because I needed to get out of my own head. I needed something to do I felt like I could be good at, something where I had more of an idea what I was doing, but also meant less if I screwed it up. And I think I've created more videos and garnered more followers these past 2 years than the past decade in my attempt to become an artist. Simply because it didn't matter to me whether or not I was making something great, so long as I was having fun. How are furries more mentally sound than me? My mentor has suggested if I could just change my attitude and motivation for wanting to create in the first place, I could move past this block I've created for myself. That in wanting to create something profound or meaningful, I'm actually shooting myself in the foot whenever I try to create anything. Whether it's a piece of drawing, painting or writing. And I think he's right. I mean, it's right there in my videos. I've been having a great time and I feel more centered and balanced making them than I do expecting myself to make Mona Minka every time I put my stylus to the screen. Unfortunately, changing your entire attitude towards your lifelong passion is not something you just do. It's like ending a relationship and expecting to remain friends. It works great in fiction, but in reality it's more complicated. I'd certainly like to try, and a good first step is to stop measuring myself as a person by whether every idea I have transcends Ferdom or not. It just worries me. Partly because I'm so open about it, most furries use pen names for a reason, but also because I'm not so sure my mental state has anything to do with this. That should be a relief, but I worry if I just throw myself into it while still feeling awful, it'll just be one more way to shoot myself in the foot. For the time being, I'm just warming up to the idea. Which, again, feels like I've regressed about 10 years to when I first started out. But maybe a soft reboot is exactly what I need. And maybe stop acting like having fun isn't meaningful. Clearly furries just know that, and I needed a decade to figure it out. So with this earth-shattering revelation under my belt, can you expect me back making videos again next week? Well, no. I'm still concerned whatever is going on in my head is completely unrelated to any of this, and I want to find out what that is before I return. I can't go on feeling hopeless and lost, and I need to find out what is wrong with me. Not to mention, even if it is unrelated, I'm still very much burnt out, both from art and reviews, and if I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna need it to be in force. Not to make you feel gypped, but I feel like I've been half-assing my videos for a while now, like I could have gone beyond, but I haven't. I feel like if I'm gonna return, I need to give it my all. It would mean looking into buying region-free Blu-ray players. It would mean buying ripping software that can bypass region locks. It would mean buying new movies with every paycheck. It would mean setting up a Patreon and focusing on community engagement. It would mean keeping better tabs on what new found footage movies are coming out, researching what's popular and what's not, and it would mean planning my year ahead to make the most of it. It would mean a lot of changes, a lot of gambles, and a lot of work. And I still feel like waking up, getting out of bed, and doing anything constructive is a chore. I just don't feel like I can commit to all of that, at least not yet. What I can tell you is taking a break and testing the waters, doing things without pressure or stress, has been good for me. I still have moments where I question myself and everything I'm doing, but they're far less severe and more manageable than they have ever been. If I can work out a way to be this relaxed about whatever I decide to do from here on, whether it's YouTube, art, or anything else, then that would be a game changer. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I mean, really, thank you. Thank you for your patience, thank you for still being here, thank you for giving me the time to start figuring myself out, and above all, thank you for watching my reviews. For so many people to subscribe and enjoy them, even when I didn't see the point to them, it really does mean the world. You're showing me I can have fun and it'll still be worth more than whatever my anxiety-laden brain has decided does or doesn't mean anything. And that genuinely is the greatest gift I could ever receive. So thank you all for watching. I have been Core Scratches, and I hope you will see me again next time to take a look at what I found. Just please don't hold it against me if I one day turn into Philip Jackson.